as if fentanyl is raining on our reservation.
That I'll do anything to help.
Marvin Weatherwax Jr. is a tribal leader here and says much of the drug activity on his reservation stems from Mexican cartels selling to community members and using their homes, often in remote areas, as distribution hubs.
They've infiltrated our reservation. They've married in. They've basically set up shop. It's just a problem that won't go away.
Just this week, I officially designated the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, including Trendy Aragua and MS-13, which gives us great power.
Trump's saying they're going to strategically target the cartels.
We're talking about sending military forces to fight against the drug cartels in Latin America. Do you think it's worth sending our forces, our U.S. forces there to take this on?
We love this country like they love their countries. We have to protect our country. So, we're playing a tough game.
You can't do that. So much money's laundered through to collapse the economy. Trump doesn't care.
According to the New York Times, behind the scenes, Trump's moving all the pieces into place to pull this off. Mexico's got a big problemo.
But it has nothing to do with Mexican territory. It has to do with their country. It does not involve our territory.
So it would be within the United States?
Within the United States, exactly.
El Presidente doesn't comprehende.
Mexico's president draws red line. U.S. kinetic operations against drug cartels not welcome on her soil. Well, you know what's not welcome? Millions of dead from fentanyl and all the crime and all the human trafficking and all the crap.
In 1989, the Sinaloa drug cartel dug its first drug tunnel between a house in Agua Prieta, Sonora, to a warehouse located in Douglas, Arizona.
Is this appear to be an isolated case, or perhaps is it part of a tunnel network?
They're not quite sure about this. They say the investigation is continuing, but they say that they believe that this is in no way a maiden voyage for these people. They must have had quite a bit of financial backing and have been working in drug smuggling for quite some time.
Now, 34 years later, new evidence reveals that the Mexican drug cartels have burrowed their way into the American government.
The Sinaloa cartel is like, whoa. Let me get this right. The Federal Reserve of the United States of America is now in the business of money laundering. Count us in. And so now they are laundering their money through the pot industry of Colorado. One of the many problems in Mexico today is that the cartels have diversified. They've gotten into cargo theft and kidnapping and avocados and limes and real estate and local government. And criminality is always going to exist.
Arizona-based forensic investigator Jacqueline Breger dove down a deep rabbit hole into the sovereign dismantling corruption narrative after appearing in front of the Arizona Legislature's Senate Elections Committee and House Municipal Oversight and Elections Committee. Breger claimed that while investigating a nationwide racketeering epidemic involving the Sinaloa drug cartel, their team accidentally discovered election fraud. The web involved a real estate money laundering operation infiltrating all levels of government, constructed in order to trade influence to the Sinaloa cartel for backdoor money and control over elections and anyone that stood in their way.
We concluded that several real estate agents convicted in Iowa had set up laundering systems in Arizona and thereafter had transferred the proceeds of sales to the Panamanian corporations. These documents have definitely evidenced multiple racketeering enterprises.
And the Mexican military will finally work with us as soon as their president buckles. And the Army's pretty corrupt down there. I'm told from my sources the Navy and the Marines are pretty good, the Mexican Marines. And then, Sheinbaum can take a hike down there if she wants to work with the cartels. So, you want to find a war Alex Jones is for? You want to find a war that I support? It's not against the Mexican people. They're the main victims of this, even worse than us. It is the drug cartels that do not respect this country, do not respect us. And of course, the CIA helped do it. And Trump's taking control of that. They're going after the banks that launder the money. They're shutting down the CIA operations. And they've told the cartels they've had 7 months.
My bad. Not paying attention.
It's as if fentanyl is raining on our reservation.
That I'll do anything to help.
Marvin Weatherwax Jr. is a tribal leader here and says much of the drug activity on his reservation stems from Mexican cartels selling to community members and using their homes, often in remote areas, as distribution hubs.
They've infiltrated our reservation. They've married in. They've basically set up shop. It's just a problem that won't go away.
Just this week, I officially designated the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, including Trendy Aragua and MS-13, which gives us great power.
Trump's saying they're going to strategically target the cartels.
We're talking about sending military forces to fight against the drug cartels in Latin America. Do you think it's worth sending our forces, our U.S. forces there to take this on?
We love this country like they love their countries. We have to protect our country. So, we're playing a tough game.
Oh, you can't do that. So much money's laundered through to collapse the economy. Trump doesn't care.
According to the New York Times, behind the scenes, Trump's moving all the pieces into place to pull this off. Mexico's got a big problemo.
But it has nothing to do with Mexican territory. It has to do with their country. It does not involve our territory.
So it would be within the United States?
Within the United States, exactly.
El Presidente doesn't comprehend.
Mexico's president draws red line. U.S. kinetic operations against drug cartels not welcome on her soil. Well, you know what's not welcome? Millions of dead from fentanyl and all the crime and all the human trafficking and all the crap.
In 1989, the Sinaloa drug cartel dug its first drug tunnel between a house in Agua Prieta, Sonora, to a warehouse located in Douglas, Arizona.
Is this appear to be an isolated case, or perhaps is it part of a tunnel network?
They're not quite sure about this. They say the investigation is continuing, but they say that they believe that this is in no way a maiden voyage for these people. They must have had quite a bit of financial backing and have been working in drug smuggling for quite some time.
Now, 34 years later, new evidence reveals that the Mexican drug cartels have burrowed their way into the American government.
The Sinaloa cartel is like, whoa. Let me get this right. The Federal Reserve of the United States of America is now in the business of money laundering. Count us in. And so now they are laundering their money through the pot industry of Colorado. One of the many problems in Mexico today is that the cartels have diversified. They've gotten into cargo theft and kidnapping and avocados and limes and real estate and local government. And criminality is always going to exist.
Arizona-based forensic investigator Jacqueline Breger dove down a deep rabbit hole into the sovereign dismantling corruption narrative after appearing in front of the Arizona Legislature's Senate Elections Committee and House Municipal Oversight and Elections Committee. Breger claimed that while investigating a nationwide racketeering epidemic involving the Sinaloa drug cartel, their team accidentally discovered election fraud. The web involved a real estate money laundering operation infiltrating all levels of government, constructed in order to trade influence to the Sinaloa cartel for backdoor money and control over elections and anyone that stood in their way.
We concluded that several real estate agents convicted in Iowa had set up laundering systems in Arizona and thereafter had transferred the proceeds of sales to the Panamanian corporations. These documents have definitely evidenced multiple racketeering enterprises.
And the Mexican military will finally work with us as soon as their president buckles. And the Army's pretty corrupt down there. I'm told from my sources, the Navy and their Marines are pretty good, the Mexican Marines. And then, Sheinbaum can take a hike down there if she wants to work with the cartels. So, you want to find a war Alex Jones is for? You want to find a war that I support? It's not against the Mexican people. They're the main victims of this, even worse than us. It is the drug cartels that do not respect this country, do not respect us. And of course, the CIA helped do it. And Trump's taking control of that. They're going after the banks that launder the money. They're shutting down the CIA operations. And they've told the cartels, they've had 7 months. And they told the Mexican government, Trump told them, you will make a real effort to shut this down, or we're going to come down there and we're going to kill people. Wars are when you're actually being killed by somebody. Wars are for when someone is crapping all over you. Wars is when a neighboring country does not respect you and is run by criminals that are attacking you. That's what war is for when it's just.
InfoWars in outer space. All right, welcome to the show. August 15th, 2025. Got a hell of a broadcast for you. Sorry about I don't know. This new system is really touchy. I hit the wrong button. Next thing you know, you're seeing me backstage. So anyway, we're here. Thank you for being here tonight. I got a bunch of, there's no way I'm going to get through all that I have, but I'm going to do my absolute best to get through as much of this as I can. But I have like 30 clips and a ton of different topics, and we're just going to go and see how far we get along the way. I don't have a guest tonight, but I want to give you a little programming note just for those of you that may or may not be interested in this. We're going to do a roundtable, what happened to masculinity roundtable, probably the day. I think it's going to be next week. I'll let you know on Twitter. I'll put that up on Twitter just so everyone knows. X. I know it's called X, but I just can't get past the whole changing the name thing. But anyway, and it's going to be with some really good men that have worked their lives around being the men that you wish that you had for neighbors, the men that your grandfather was and your dad, the ones that are gone, the 70s and before, real men, masculine, a hardworking, those men. We're going to get into a whole bunch of that stuff. I'm going to start doing one week a month where I'm going to I'll probably, because there's so much to do here, I'm going to add a couple days. It looks like I'll be adding a Tuesday night. I don't want to conflict with other shows that are bigger than me because I have a hard time getting viewership when other larger platforms are running their shows. So I'm gonna check with their schedules and see where it's at, so I don't conflict with that, because I want you to come to my show, but I know that there's other shows that a lot of you been watching for a very long time, and they're gonna probably take precedence over me. But what I'm saying is, once a month we're gonna do stuff like this. One week we're gonna do a doctor, that's gonna come in and talk about whatever their specialty is, like Dr. Bell we've had on several times. He's writing a book right now. We'll probably have him come in 1 month, and we get into a lot of the deep state politics stuff along the way, but he's really a doctor, a really holistic type doctor. I'm going to start doing some of that stuff as well, and I just want to mix it up a little bit because I was watching InfoWars yesterday, and Owen came on just before his show ended. He came on and he said that he was taking a long weekend because he's starting to seem like he's negative, and and he's starting to see that, so he's going to just decompress a little bit. And I totally get that, because there's so much every day. If you're like me or them, InfoWars are popular talk show hosts. It's all day, every day, wake up, go to bed, dream about it. It's just everything that we do is, how to beat the deep state, how to put Fauci in jail, how to do all these things. How can we be successful at helping in, the takedown of all these corrupt organizations all over the world, really, right? So just a little programming note that's coming up. I will let you know on the platforms. I'll probably do a little small little clip, 5-minute clip, and just explain what the schedule is on Rumble and Getter and X, and our new YouTube channel. That if you prefer YouTube, we've started another YouTube channel. It's just Inspector Webb on YouTube, and if you want to, a lot of people like that better than other platforms, because a lot of times if you're not a paid subscriber to Rumble, it cuts in with these ads all the time, and YouTube don't do as many ads. So it's up to you. I'm not promoting YouTube, but if you rather watch us on YouTube, we're now on YouTube again, just Inspector Webb. So all right, got it out of the way. All right, so we're talking about Sinaloa cartel, the cartels in Mexico. We're talking about Sheinbaum, I think that's her name, the Presidente of Mexico, talking about, because all those politicians over there all paid for, the cartel owns them, and if you don't do well, you remember last year, maybe a year and a half, or it might have been a couple years ago, they killed everybody. Everybody that got elected, they just killed them all. I don't remember exactly, but a bunch of people just got rid of them after they when they were talking about doing something about the cartel. So now Trump is like, listen, you're at war with us by allowing drugs, fentanyl, explicitly fentanyl, and the weed thing is probably not as prevalent as the fentanyl and the heroin and the methamphetamine. Those things are still coming over, and Trump wants to shut it down. In the 70s, they had the war on drugs. Remember the Red Ribbon War on Drugs, and they had a different approach to it, where they gave healthy sentences for anybody that was caught with any kind of drugs back then when Reagan was in office. They called it the war on drugs, and his approach is go to the snake, cut the head off the snake, and yeah, I mean, when you think about it, those cartels are not as advanced as we are, as our military or whatever. So it'd be interesting to see if they shut that down, or if they start taking them out, because they geolocate them and they just bomb them, and then it's over. I mean, and then of course they rebuild and then they come back stronger. But it's like herpes; you can't never get rid of it. All right, so thank you for being here. August 15th, 2025, for the Friday night show. I want to know, there's a bunch of stuff going on. Trump's in Alaska with Putin today, and Putin comes out and he says, basically, he's like, if Trump would have been president, the war would have never happened. And I don't know if you've seen the whole thing with Putin, how he honored the troops of the war and all that stuff. He went up there and he said, it's probably customary to do that from when you're coming from another country or whatever. I don't know the details around that, but he honored the fallen, and then they met, and then they had a closed door meeting. I don't know what the outcome of that is, but I do know that Trump came out and did say a few things about it, and we're going to play that clip here in a second. And I think that if Trump could pull this off, and I think he has, he was saying 75% he's going to get it pulled off, and from what it sounds like, now he has to go to NATO and Ukraine and deal with all the globalists, because they're all puppet globalists, and what they're saying is, from people that that are close to the administration or to Defense Department, whatever, that if they don't accept this deal, then they're going to remove Zelensky from office. And that's what I heard. That's what the biggest thing that I've heard, that if he doesn't accept this deal, they're just going to put him out to pasture. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So let me start right here, and we'll be right back.
I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then, that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump is saying that If he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, businesslike, and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine. I'd like to.
Yeah, and so I lost the video. Of course I did. Hold on just a second. Here, let's get this up. This is a couple videos of Putin meeting with Trump. The respect that you got for that, I'm just gonna narrate, so because there's no sound. Just so you know, later on in this, after they have their closed door meeting, they're at the what they're calling the summit, and they're up there with the reporters, and he says that thing about if Trump was in office, the war would have never happened, and then he said that next time Trump should come to. But you see the respect between these two world leaders, which is very impressive to me.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound. And I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Radcliffe. Thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have some tremendous Russian business representatives here, and I think everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time, and we look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. That made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. I think he's probably seen things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all, but we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax, but what was done was very criminal. But it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But we'll have a good chance when this is over. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, whose faces, who I know in many cases, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but especially this one right over here. But we had some good meetings over the years, right? Good productive meetings over the years, and we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So, again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon, and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so that's a big deal, actually. If that happens, man, Nobel Peace Prize for sure. But I mean, to not have to worry about a nuclear war with Russia would be a great start, or world war where we're fighting everybody, because all over every country right now they're gearing up for a world war right now. Everyone is, and that's what every news channel all over the place is talking about, is that they're concerned about a world war. So hopefully, the peace president can get it pulled off. And say what you will about Trump, he's talked about this for, several years about getting this, handled. And that they set the date last week, earlier in the week, whatever. They set the date, and then Ukraine and NATO just ran right over and started bombing Russia. And it really shows me, and shows us actually, that they really don't care about peace. And how they're going to do this, I don't know. I know that Trump said that if they can't make this deal, if this deal don't go through, then they're cutting all funding to Ukraine, and they're going to, and I think they said something about pulling away from NATO as well. I don't know. I know that he talked about it before, but for sure pulling, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know that they said they're going to pull all funding, no more weapons or anything to Ukraine. And then that'll leave them with, I mean, they're already losing the war. You'd think that they would get out, but see, there's so much money involved in this. They just, they're warmongers. They just gotta fight. They're not on the front line fighting, but all those Ukrainians are just getting killed. 5,000 a week. It's crazy. So, yeah, it's just wild, man. It's just crazy. I mean, so pray for peace. That's what I want to say. Pray for peace. All right. That's what we're going to do. We're going to just pray for peace. All right. I'm just going to run this real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on it, really. But, actually, I think I'll just follow what I was doing originally. So I kind of have a wishy-washy kind of thing going on about this DC thing, where he's released federal agents and all the different agencies into DC. Now, the people of DC, the residents of DC are like, we haven't been able to walk outside at night in forever. And the fact that, that there's federal agents and police and all that stuff on the street policing us, making police state, though, that's the thing that I'm wishy-washy about, that they're saying that it's actually safe. So on that hand, I like it. On the other hand, I don't like the government being involved in controlling what people can do and where they can go and all that stuff. So it's kind of, and I know that this is a power play. That's the way I kind of see it, that Trump's doing a power play, show him Bowser that that he's in charge of DC, and he's gonna make sure that it's a safe place. And he's right. It shouldn't be homeless people all over the streets, which all these cities have homeless everywhere, underneath bridges, in front of storefronts. I mean, they're just everywhere. all over the cities. I don't personally don't go to the city just for that that's for one of the reasons, but your cars get broken into and all that stuff, especially in like San Francisco or Los Angeles. You see what Los Angeles looks like? It's a dump. And it was a very beautiful city. Both those cities, San Francisco, I'm in California, so San Francisco was beautiful. Tall buildings, just beautiful skyline. And Los Angeles was the same thing. And now they're just dumps. They're just horrible. So this is Trump federalizing DC. Just a short clip. We're just going to run this real quick. Get this out of the way.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in DC, and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the DC Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly.
Yeah, so one of the problems that has been going on all over the United States, all these cities, is the police have not been able to do their job because one, fear, because if you know somebody attempts to stab you with a knife and you shoot them, you get a charge and you end up losing your job and you can't feed your family and all that stuff. So there's been a hands-off policy for the last 4 or 5 years, or 4 years at least. I don't think it was a hands-off policy when Trump was in office, but you remember what happened in 2020. I mean, it was horrible, all the things that were happening. And my opinion is just one opinion out of millions of people, but my opinion is Trump was worried about re-election, so he didn't want to do what he's doing now, where he's like, I'm all guts. Let's go, because he's not worried about the next election. He wants to get as much done in the next 2 years because there's a very high probability that they'll won't have no action taken after, if we lose the House, obviously, or the Senate. They'll just he'll be a lame duck president. And so he tells his staff every day, today might be our last day in office, so let's give it our best. I mean, that's how they kind of run with this, with the administration. So, I mean, I think that if he cleans up these cities and he gets this peace deal done, it's hands down, he'll win the House and the Senate by large margins. But if this flops, like some of the other things that he's attempted to do, which, look, by the time 1 year passes, all those tariffs and all those cuts and all that stuff is going to really show up in our checkbook, and we're really going to be able to see the benefits of the tariffs and the and the tax rates and all that stuff, and the tax cuts and all that stuff. Because talk about putting more money in our pocket by no tax on tips, no Social Security tax, all these different things. And so that is one reason why we could get better polling numbers in the years in the next year. But if this flops, we're fucked. Okay, we're gonna have to move to, I don't know, Mexico or something. I'm not sure, but yeah. So the federalizing, District of Columbia. I mean, on one hand, it's like he's like, yeah, we're going to do New York, Los Angeles. We're going to clean up these cities. We're going to make these cities worth living in again. And on one hand, I like that. On the other hand, it sets precedents for a police state, and I'm not really cool with that at all. So it's a fine line, and I guess if there's some sort of parameters, like we're just going to do this, and then we're not going to go further than that. But how do you know? We got, bureaucrats everywhere. So, I mean, for every good person in the administration, there's two bad ones. So, and maybe more that are hiding. I mean, we know because we're watching all this stuff going on, all these commentators talking about, all the horrible people in the administration, but they're in the administration and they can't really see what is going on. So it makes it a tough job, I'm sure. But all in all, I give Trump a 95 right now. There's a few things that he really needs to be working toward getting resolved. But when you think about DNI and FBI and the whistleblowers that's come out in the last week and all the things that's happening around Comey and Brennan and Clapper and Hillary Clinton and all these people, Susan Rice, it's like, now we're talking. If we can get something done there, great. But, I mean, we haven't seen any arrests, no handcuffs at all, right? And has he done some great stuff? Absolutely. I'm definitely still a Trump supporter, but I'm very concerned about what can get done when you have so much deep state in their own camp. So Susie Wiles, needs to go. I think that that was probably the worst person to put in there as chief of staff. But hey, I'm not the president. He must have a better plan than I do because he's the president of the United States. So we're going to leave that right there for now, But I was looking at, well, before we move off talking about states, now there's something that if you're in California, you need to know about this. And most people are starting to become aware of this bill, AB 495. I don't know if you know about this, but we're just going to say there's this bill that AB 495, and it's about its parameters are for illegal citizens to not get separated from their kids if they get deported. But the way the way it reads, this bill for AB 495 says that they can anybody can go to the school, get any kid out without any paperwork, no ID. The teacher, the administration at the school, none of that are obligated to tell you who took the kid and how would you know who took the kid? Because they don't have to show ID. They just say that kid, I want that kid, and you take that kid, and that's it. So this bill, the way it's written, is trafficking. It's like child trafficking. This pastor's we're gonna play Hibbs right now and let him explain it. But it's definitely a bill, and they're meeting on the 19th. So this week they're meeting at the state capitol all day at the state capitol in Sacramento about this bill. They're doing they're going down there, and they've procured the area with permits, and it's all legal and everything. And you should probably come out and protest and be supportive of this bill if you're in California. Like, take the day off and support this. It's a big deal. Okay. Now we're going to play the clip right now, and then we'll be back. Stand by.
Yeah, well, there you have it, because we broke the news about a pastor in California telling Christians to leave the state if the legislature passes a bill that would have a huge impact on the custody rights of parents. Let's bring in the author of the new book, Called to Take a Bold Stand, the founding pastor of Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, and the new author, Jack Hibbs. He's had books out before. What are you talking about there? Here's the thing that amazes me. The CA Family Council says the following here. The Family Preparedness Plan Act of 2025, Pastor, would allow unrelated adults, broadly defined as an adult caregiver with a mentoring relationship with the child, to assume custody-like control over a child through a one-page caregiver's authorization affidavit. No court appearance, no notarization, no parental consent, notification, background check, nothing. You need nothing of it. And your thing is, it makes kidnapping easy.
Listen, born and raised in California, fought for this state. I'll fight for this state. I have always encouraged our people to stay in here and fight this good fight. But now, Trace, it has reached a level where they're coming after our kids. And we've consulted attorneys. As you can imagine, we're getting ready. We're circling our wagons. We've studied the bill. Bottom line is this. Normally, the attorneys tell you the devil is in the details. In this case, the attorneys have told us the devil is in how loosely open this is written. It has been written in such a way, Trace, that it can be interpreted any way.
Yeah.
It is dangerous and sadly true. You cannot let your kids now go to school and assume they're going to be safe or not taken away before you come to pick them up.
People say, listen, it's interesting to have a pastor who's been very successful in California to say, listen, if this bill passes, maybe you better pick up and go.
Yeah, exactly right. The last thing a pastor wants to say, right, we want our churches to grow. But if I'm really going to love God and love people, the bottom line is you've got to protect your kids from. Now, this administration, California, Gavin Newsom's really henchman, the author of the bill, Assemblymember Celeste Rodriguez, when she gives her argument, you can watch it on YouTube.
Yep.
It is absolutely based on what if, it could be.
Right.
It's dangerous. And by the way, we have laws in effect already. This is actually a kidnapper's, trafficker, pedophile's dream come true bit of legislation.
And the sad part about this is this law is totally designed for some illegal immigrant somewhere who may get taken away, and that's they designed a bill that puts every other kid in the state at risk, just so, and the possibility that some illegal immigrant gets separated from their child, that there's a remedy.
Well, we already have the California Education Code number 234.7 that already mitigates all that. We don't need this bill. So what's up? Why are they crafting this? Why are they absolutely going after the parents' rights to govern their own child?
Right.
Can you imagine, Trace, dropping off your grandchild at a school here in Los Angeles, and you come back to picking them up at the end of the day? They're not there anymore. You ask who took the child. The school doesn't have to tell you who took the child.
Yeah.
You don't know where the child is. That child could be in the Mojave Desert or Tijuana by the time you pick them up. This is an absolute dangerous bill.
Yeah, people have to realize that, and you're going to make sure they do. Pastor, good luck on the book. Thank you for coming on as always. We appreciate it.
You hear that shit? That is something. That is something. I'm telling you right now, if that bill passes, California residents are going to lose their mind because, listen, sure, it's designed for illegals, because of the ICE thing, and illegal aliens are, illegal aliens are all over California. And I know you've probably heard this, but in California, Los Angeles, they have the traffic in California is so bad that it takes you like an hour to go 3 exits. And now there's no traffic on the freeway. So that tells you how many illegal aliens are in California, in the Los Angeles area. So that's a trip, isn't it? That's interesting. So this bill, this pastor, I seen him 2 weeks ago on, I don't know, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever. So I did some research on this, and I read the bill, and it really is like one of those things where you're like, how could they even write it up like that? It's so broad that it's like, usually a bill has like some parameters for it, so it's specifically for a specific thing. But even my really good attorney friend says that this bill is crazy. I mean, the way it's written, it's like they can literally go to a school and just say, I want Johnny, and boom, take him. No questions asked. That's what this bill says. So if you're in California, you should definitely be paying attention to this, and we need to do something about it, because do I need to tell you what'll happen if I go to the school and my kid's not there? We're gonna leave that right there. Okay, we're just gonna leave it right there. So it's pretty trippy. It's definitely something that should be on your radar. Now, while we're in California, I don't know if you've seen Gavin Newsom today or yesterday or whatever, but this clown, I mean, this dude is such an idiot. I mean, so if you don't know, Gavin Newsom with the twitchy shoulders and the good hair is running for president, and this is his you know his run right now. This stuff that he's doing, calling out Trump, saying that Trump's a dictator, Trump's a tyrant, and all this stuff. This is his very first, you know, what do you call it? What do they call politics? Remember, I'm not a political genius, but this is his kickoff party to be president. So we're gonna play this. We're gonna play this. If I can find it, what the hell did I do with it here? Let's see. Oh, Gavin Newsom, can't miss it. Oh shit, what did I do? Remember, I said I have a bunch of stuff here, so it's gotten lost. I'll find it here. Hold on a second. Jesus. New system, so everything is kind of mixed up. I apologize. Let me find it. Oh, I got it here. I'll get it. Pull this up right now. Okay, maybe I don't have it. Tell me while I find this. Tell me what. Oh, I found it. Never mind. Hold on. Here we go.
Well, I think it's pretty sick and pathetic. And it just said everything you need to know, the setting that we're under. That they chose the time, manner, and place to send their district director outside right when we're about to have this press conference. It said everything you know about Donald Trump's America. And that was top down. You know that for a fact. They'll deny it, I'm sure. Maybe they won't deny it. It said everything you know about the authoritarian tendencies of the President of the United States. I said in a moment ago, wake up, America. Wake up. You will not have a country if he rigs this election. You will have a president who will be running for a third term. Mark my word. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around. The rules do not apply to him. The most corrupt president in history. He doesn't believe in free enterprise, crony capitalism. He is wrecking this country, wrecking the economy. He's a lawless president. Wake up, America. Wake up to what's going on.
We're here making Los Angeles a safer place. Since we won't have politicians that'll do that, we do that ourselves. So that's what we're here today, as you can see, already making it a safer place. We're glad to be here, not going anywhere.
The governor's inside right there.
I don't know where he's at.
He's about 100 feet behind us. Do you have any comment from him or anything?
Again,
any message?
We're making Los Angeles and California a safer place. We're going to continue to do that. And they can take that one to the bank and cash it.
Right. Do you know who's buying up all of the property in the LA fire zones? It's the Chinese. And I've avoided saying this for a while because I knew everybody would call me a racist. But that's just the fact of the matter. I work in both areas daily, both Pacific Palisades and Altadena. And the people driving around looking at the properties to buy them are all Chinese nationals. And I've even had a few of them call me saying, hey, we're buying 5 or 6 lots. Can you build us spec houses? And go ahead, call me a racist. But I think it's sad that California and LA, with their slow reaction time and incompetence, is going to turn both Altadena and Pacific Palisades into the type of neighborhoods where you drive down and all of the signage is in Chinese. You can't read it. You can't understand it. Here in America, because of incompetence. Do you know?
Yeah, Gavin Newsom's going to be running for president. I want you to understand what I'm saying right there.
I think it's pretty sick.
Hold on a second. Let me get this. Hold on just a second. I cut it short, so I'm going to just finish this real quick. Stand by. Cut it short.
In cash.
Arrived just outside of the downtown LA venue where Governor Gavin Newsom was actually holding a press conference today. And it appears that those Border Patrol agents are making arrests, illegal immigrants that I don't know if they were at this press conference, if they were in the area, but this is a very, as John put it when we first saw this video, a very in-your-face way to let, Democrats know that you are going to do your job, that you're going to carry out these Trump policies.
I want to know what you think about that in the comments, if you don't mind. I'd like to know what your thought is on Gavin Newsom and what he's done to Palisades, to, Pacific Palisades, much like what happened in Lahaina. It's the same thing. They haven't been able to build. They're still fighting with cities, with the city Mayor Bass, to get permits to build, to the fact that they are, having to sell their properties because they can't afford to do the upkeep on them. Because, when you, excuse me, when you have a house that burns down, I covered this a few weeks ago. When you have a property that burns down, you're responsible for cleaning it up, or the city or the county or whatever will come in and clean it up, and they charge you like 10 times more than what it would cost if you hired a contractor to do it yourself. And then they put a sticker on there, saying that it's, that until you pay this bill, some outrageous bill, hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean this place up, and then they lien your property and they take it from you if you can't afford it, and that's happening. So, what do you think about Gavin Newsom? What do you think about him being your president? See what he did to California? He's ruined California. Maybe you live in Texas and gas is $2.50 a gallon. Gas is $4.50, $4.60 a gallon in California still, and it's down like 80 cents. But we have a $2.10 tax on our fuel. That's just for a regular unleaded. Now, when you start talking about diesel, it's an extra dollar. I mean, it's just crazy what he's done to California while our roads are all screwed up and all that stuff. That's just what we live in. That's the matter of fact. I've said this before. My wife and I, we were going to buy a piece of property up above the foothills, 5-6 acres. We looked at a couple of them. We were actually signed a deal, and then when we was looking at the insurance for it, it was between $1,000 was the cheapest we found it a month, to $1,600 a month just for fire insurance. And we're like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So, I'm glad we didn't do that. We're going to wait and see what Trump does to this economy and the insurances and all that kind of stuff, because he could fix it. But I mean, I guess there's a lot of things on his plate that are going to have higher precedence than, us, buying a house in fire zones, right? Like, they should have been cleaning those up, but of course they give them, billions of dollars to clean up the forest, and they do other things with it, right? Like house illegal aliens and stuff like that. So anyway. All right, so where am I? Let's see here. Tell me what this looks like to you. I mean, yeah, my comments are on. It just seems like Cash Patel looks spooked every time he gets in front of a microphone. Tell me what you think before we get into this next topic, which is D&I.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone.
Yeah, and I don't know Cash Patel. I always thought he was pretty solid when he was doing the media tour on like Bannon's War Room and stuff like that, Benny Johnson or whatever. And I don't know if that's just his normal look or if he's scared shitless. He looks scared shitless to me. I don't know. You tell me what you think. You tell me what you think in the comments. So let's move on here. I just want to throw that out there for a minute. Yeah. So we we have to have a little bit of fun here because it's so serious, and the next topics are going to be pretty heavy duty. I mean, it's good news. It's all really good news for bad news. It's good bad news. Like indictments and investigations and stuff like that. I mean, it's good news, but it's bad that we're having to do this because if we had a country that was self-sustaining, like took care of itself, we wouldn't have all this corruption where we have to do investigations on all these corrupt people. But before we do that, how about this one?
Is that Sydney Sweeney? Oh yeah, it is. She really loves our rainbow sherbet. She comes here all the time. Wait, seriously? Hey Sydney, your signature scoop is ready. Thank you. What? That's so cool. Yeah. It can be.
Summer's looking sweet at Baskin Robbins. Try my new Sweet on Sydney menu, available at Baskin Robbins nationwide for a limited time.
Yeah, I just lighten it up a little bit. So, I mean, so I don't know if you've seen the Ram truck commercials and all. It's like shifted so fast from the DEI, LGBTQ, and all that stuff that's been going on in the news or on the TV. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of TV, but you know, at night, I usually, hang out with my wife as we go to sleep and we'll watch like whatever she's watching. And these commercials come on, this Ram truck commercial talking about pride in the United States and, the Sydney Sweeney and all these different ads that are out now. Like it seems like it's just completely flipped from what it was where, it's a bunch of black, people, talking about how great it is to be gay or whatever the hell it is. And, I'm not no racist or anything like that, but these kind of wholesome commercials were just gone. I mean, it was like, it was almost sad that because, and this is the thing, what has happened in our culture, it seems like, and maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm not, but, the white people bad thing has been so like pushed through the media for so long, the last 4 years that I was watching this MSNBC clip and or CNN or whatever, and they were arguing about what was it? Slavery and racism, the same thing that they always do over there. They just keep pushing the narrative to see if they can get it to stick to the wall. And I don't know the media heads that well, but this person was on there was a guest talking about that they were full of shit, that all the stuff that they're talking about is propaganda. And that's the truth because we never had this racism, all this cultural diversity and all this weirdo things going on until, well, I mean, it did happen back in like 2012 or 13 when Obama was in office. It's kind of started and it just got worse and worse and worse. And then I guess it's changes with presidents because it seems like it's, American flags and stuff now instead of rainbow trans flags, you know what I mean? But I just wanted to get that here because it seems like it's shifting, and that's great because, like, I mean, I'm a straight white male that I have 3 kids and a wife, right? And I don't really want my kids to see that weirdo stuff. You know what I mean? Trans flags on the TV and what's it called? I can't even think of what it's called right now. The trans, not trans, but the we used to, when I was a kid, we called it what do we call it? Cross-dressing. That's what it was. That was the big thing. It was cross-dressing. Now they have this whole term for it. It's this big thing. They go to schools and they do all this stuff. It's pedophilia at its best, but I'm just glad that it's finally going away a little at a time because it's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? We still have it all in the schools, the books and all that stuff. It's still there, but my hope is that it kind of washes away and we get back to normal, just normal. Like, I don't have a problem with it, gay people and other stuff. I mean, you do whatever you want. You're 18 years old and you want to cut your dick off, handle it, do it. It's on you. But I don't want my kids to be taught that in school and all these different things. We're not going to get into this today because it actually, it makes me sick to my stomach just to talk about it. But it reminds me that this wholesome girl, doing Gene commercials, and she's a racist, and she's all these labels that they put the left puts on people, because because she's a white chick that's relatively hot, and she's got a smile on her face, and opposed to all those other things that has been put, basically shoved down our throat for 4 years. It's like a breath of fresh air, right? And I'm not saying anything derogatory. I'm just saying, isn't it nice to see like normal shit on TV instead of this weirdo shit? I'm just saying. Anyway, all right. So I got that out of here. I want to go back to something because I missed a video that's pretty important. Okay. So, and if you're on YouTube, let me see what my, okay. If you're on YouTube, I'm let you know that when I do these topics with Fauci and stuff, I'm going to drop YouTube because, we find that when we talk about, Fauci or Joe Biden, not so much now, but we used to get strikes and all kinds of stuff when we just talked about, documented truths about Fauci or about vaccines or whatever. So we'll dump YouTube when we get there, but I'll wait toward the end to do the stuff on on that. And I got a ton on it that is going to shock you. But I will tell you this, if you're on YouTube and you don't get it off, I mean, all you have to do is go to Rumble or Getter or X, and you can get the whole show without this, me having to drop the channel. Okay. Just so you know. But Fauci is under investigation right now. I'll say that for you if you're not going to be here, if you're on YouTube and you're not going to be here for that part. But you can always find me at Inspector Webb on all the other channels. Okay. I think actually, what is it? It's Inspector Webb with 1B pod on X. So anyway, if you want to go on X, that's great, whatever. But let's get back to this. Now the Democrats, like we have win red. The Republicans, I guess, conservatives, Republicans. I don't consider myself a Republican. I'm like a conservative, really, when you think about who I am, like a liberal conservative, but they've taken liberal and turned it into something that it's unrecognizable. So even Democrats that were liberal have moved away from that now, and they're voting Republican. So I'm in that populist kind of thing. Anyway, if I'm gonna have a label, it's gonna be conservative, right? Now, so Act Blue is under investigation. Trump put out a memorandum or whatever it is. We're going to play the clip here in a minute about Act Blue. And I don't know if you remember that all the stuff that was going on with Act Blue last year, where they were finding that, let's see who did it. It was James O'Keefe did the thing on Act Blue, using people's information to get to funnel, or I don't know, I guess money laundering money through Act Blue, using old people's information that might have donated $5 one time for thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was a trip. So now Trump is like, well, we want to find out, we want to do an investigation and find out if any foreign money's coming in. And when they open up that investigation with looking at foreign money, then they'll get to see all that stuff. It's that what's the federal feds use? They use the I'll think about it. I'll think of it in a second. But here's this clip.
Meanwhile, President Trump is directing the Justice Department to investigate Act Blue. This is a Democratic donation platform. And the focus as the allegations about illegal straw donors and foreign contributions. Mark Meredith is live in Washington with more. This has been brewing for a while, Mark. What do we need to know?
Dana, for years, you're right about this, but this is a big development. The White House is directing the Attorney General to investigate the Democratic Party's top fundraising platform. It's called Act Blue, and the president says he wants to know if foreign money is being donated to the group and then utilized to sway elections. Democrats are calling this probe a dangerous abuse of power. Act Blue is an enormous operation in Democratic politics. It's raised more than $16 billion since 2004. You may have seen the text pop up from candidates saying, please donate, go to the Act Blue website. Republicans use something similar called Win Red. There was a new memo signed on Thursday directing the Attorney General to investigate if foreign nationals are using the Act Blue platform to bypass campaign finance laws. Trump wants a report out in 6 months.
Yep. So, I mean, parallel construction was what I was thinking about. Excuse me. When you do an investigation, or they search your house and they use parallel construction, they're going in for one reason, but then they scan the room to see what else you have, and then they call it parallel construction to build a case. They can use that kind of thing. So when they start looking to see if there's foreign money being put into Act Blue, which chances are it's probably there, then they'll see where all the donations came from. And all those people that were like, I only get $1,600 a month. I didn't donate $12,000 to Act Blue last week. That kind of thing that was going on. So that was kind of how that thing went down. But it'll be good to see how this goes, because what do we want? We don't want anybody to be disenfranchised about voting, but we do want the voting to be like even Steven, like, we want it to be up, we want it to be right. We don't want, I don't even think that, I personally think that we shouldn't be allowed to donate millions of dollars to a candidate. I think it should be capped at some number, you know what I mean? But I just think that it should be all on the up and up. It's like, I donated $20 to whoever, you know what I mean? Or, maybe I donated $100 to, whoever, right? That's the way it should be. It shouldn't be all this weird, wonky, it's election fraud. That's what it really is. When you do that kind of stuff, it's election fraud. But anyway, I don't know if you know this, but arrests are coming. And I've said this for a minute, and indictments are being worked on right now, whether it's Fauci or it's Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Hillary Clinton. They're digging in, and it's interesting because I don't know if you remember this or not, but a couple months ago, during the Israel Epstein saga, when all that was going on, Netanyahu was over here rubbing up with anybody that would listen to him when that was going on. They had Tulsi Gabbard not in the room. And well, Tulsi Gabbard is not a Israel fan, right? And not part of the Israel lobby, and she thinks that they should fend for themselves. I believe that. I think that it should be America first. I think it should be America only, actually, but America first. We'll say America first. I mean, really, we should be taking care of our own. Period. That's what we should do. We should take care of our own. And anyway, so I'll get off in a jag, so I'm going to just stay where I'm at here. And so, Tulsi Gabbard is talking about indictments. She's talking about investigations. She's talking about all these different people that were doing the, she hasn't said it exactly, but what she's referring to is corruption, and it's widespread corruption. And maybe you ran, I'm gonna just say, maybe you showed up you just was like scrolling and came across this platform, and you're like listening right now, and you've never been here before. Listen, I don't give a shit if who you voted for, I don't. It's not my thing. My thing is, I want it to be done right. Whether it's a Democrat, Republican, because they're all the same. They're all slime balls. Okay, just to be clear, we know that Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and probably Ted Cruz and all those people that have been in office for way too long all have, blue bellies or whatever. They're all corrupt. They all do the bidding for whoever, Israel or whoever it is, whatever they're doing. I don't know. I'm not there. I don't know. But what I can say is the information that I have is very clear that it continues to always follow the money. It ends up like in Israel or somewhere. And it's just the truth. The truth is the truth. It always goes back to King Charles for the fucking pedophilia, and it ends up with Israel for money laundering and bribery and all that bullshit, right? It just does. Any tree you shake, it shows the same thing. Like the pedophilia is over here, and they're prominent, and they do it right in your fucking face, and they don't even hide it anymore. They, Bill Clinton and all that stuff, right? We already know about that. We're not going to get into that right now. But what I'm talking about is the corruption at the CIA, the DOD, the DNI, the FBI, the CIA, all of them. They should have just went in there and just ripped them empty, just fired everybody about 6 levels and started over. Because the boots on the ground are probably the only ones that are worth a shit at the end of the day. But point is, we have a few of these clips right now that we're going to play, and we're going to do our best to get through. There's quite a few, and it's all talking about indictments, investigations, and the people that are involved in them. And I have one clip that's maybe a little bit longer than I'd like, but we're going to just roll with it, okay? Because I think that it's important that the information gets out there about what we're doing here and what we're going after. Because when I look at DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, and the work that she's doing, she works for us. She works for me. She's doing the work for me because I'm not there. And I think that she's probably one of those people that is like fucking on it, taking care of business, like, handling it, because that's what I see from her. I always thought that she was, I never thought that even when she was House of Representatives, when she was in Congress, I always thought that she was straight up. She wasn't one of those people that was, slimy, that lied to you to get whatever she needed or whatever. I always thought that, that she was on the up and up. And I think that she's probably the best pick out of maybe all of them, because of her integrity, her military background. Okay. There may be a couple other ones. Hegseth seems like he's pretty fucking good too. You know what I mean? And there's some people around there that are doing a great job. But when you think about DNI and what she's doing and how she's in charge of all those different organizations, that kind of gives me a smile on my face. So anyway, I got a few, but we're gonna play this one first. It's a little bit longer. She's doing it's 2 videos together that she did. This is her production. We're gonna play this. It's 7 minutes. Bear with me. We're gonna play it right now. Stand by.
Hey, everybody. As we saw in today's hearing in Congress, Dr. Fauci is yet the latest example of how the Democrat elite in Washington will stop at absolutely nothing in their crusade for more control and more power, which obviously comes at the expense of our freedom, the expense of the interests of the American people. So Dr. Fauci is just the latest amongst the worst offenders. Sadly, there are so many examples that we can point to. You guys who watch me know that I use the word Democrat elite a lot. People ask me, who are these Democrat elite that you speak of? Yes, it's people like Joe Biden, people like Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer. But it's important to recognize that it is also unelected officials like Fauci, who has shown throughout his entire career serving under both Democrat and Republican administrations through his actions that he serves his own interests and the interests of big pharma and big government consistently over the interests of the American people. The insidious part about this is that he and others take these actions and abuse their power in the name of working for our best interests when in fact they are doing the exact opposite. For example, as you remember during COVID, Dr. Fauci demanded that we place blind faith in him and the government. They said, just trust us. Just trust the science, that we are acting in the interest of your public health. But over time, we saw what it was really about. It was about control. It was about more money, huge amounts of money, our taxpayer dollars being put directly into the pockets of big pharma. They didn't care about the truth. In fact, they outwardly and very brazenly rejected science, rejected the truth, and just labeled their lies as science and the truth. Now we know Fauci has lied to Congress numerous times, including the lie that the National Institute of Health did not and does not perform or fund gain-of-function research. This is a serious one, and it's a crime that Democrats have imprisoned Republicans for, lying under oath before Congress. But here's the thing, is Democrats protect their friends who lie before Congress from ever being prosecuted and go after their opponents. We also know now that Fauci's team has been exposed through hearings yesterday and today. They worked behind the scenes to cover up the origins of the COVID outbreak. Fauci knew about it. He was CC'd on those emails, and he allowed it to happen and then lied to Congress about it. Fauci confirmed today that his quote-unquote guidance on ensuring that we all have 6 feet of social distancing between us wasn't actually backed up by any science. They just picked this random number out of there. I know if you were like me, when you're standing in the airport waiting to board a plane, they're saying 6 feet apart, and then you're crammed together on that plane. It just makes no sense. And we can't forget Dr. Fauci's guidance was used in very serious ways to undermine our freedoms. He stopped us from freely worshiping in church or even outdoor services and drive-through services while still allowing drive-through fast food restaurants to remain open, while still allowing bars, strip clubs, and liquor stores to remain open. Fauci's so-called guidance led to the censorship of our free speech. It led to doctors who knew that what he was doing was wrong. If they dared to speak up, to challenge his guidance, they were threatened with their medical license and therefore their livelihood being taken away. This violation of our fundamental rights and free speech will have long-lasting effects. Their demonization of people who questioned or challenged Dr. Fauci and his team's guidance will have long-lasting effects. We've seen it in self-censorship, people afraid to speak up for what they know is true and right. Now, coming out of all of this, the takeaway from Dr. Fauci and the Democrat elite is they can lie to the American people. They can take away our freedoms in their pursuit of power, because as long as their friends are in power, they can rest easy knowing that they're going to get away with it. So here's the bottom line. We cannot allow politicians and leaders who abuse their power to remain in power. Our ability to bring about this change is in our hands. We must hold them to account so this doesn't happen again. But the thing that we are working with Jay Bhattacharya, the new NIH director, on with, as well as Secretary Kennedy, is looking at the gain of function research that in the case of the Wuhan lab, as well as many others around, many of these other biolabs around the world, was actually US funded and leads to this dangerous kind of research that in many examples has resulted in either a pandemic or some other major health crisis.
Well, let me ask you specifically, because we already know that EcoHealth Alliance was partnering with this Wuhan lab to do gain of function research.
That's right.
We just have never been able to have somebody say, it was that exact experiment that led to this COVID bug. But have we gotten there? What's the new thing that you're digging in on?
We are working on that with Jay Bhattacharya and look forward to being able to share that hopefully very soon.
Okay.
That specific
link,
correct, between the gain of function research and what we saw with COVID-19.
I mean, that would be extraordinary, because just so the audience knows, if that's true, if it was Peter Daszak's research with the Wuhan so-called bat lady that caused this pandemic, then we did fund it. Then Anthony Fauci helped fund the pandemic.
The thing that he denied over and over and over to Senator Rand Paul's questioning.
That's right. Under oath.
Under oath, exactly. So is it any wonder that he sought a preemptive pardon for anything during a certain period of time by President Biden before he left office?
And then strong-armed and smeared people like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, anybody who came out and said, I don't know if that's natural. This actually smacks of lab.
And the reason why this is so important is not just what happened in the past. It's because this gain of function research is happening in biolabs around the world. We have to end this gain of function research and provide the evidence that shows exactly why and how it's in our best interest, the American people's best interest, to bring about an end to it.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was a test right there. Because they talked about things that I've been banned for. So we're going to see what happens, because I didn't drop YouTube for that because I didn't realize that that was. So we'll see. We'll just see. We'll just go with it. So we all know about the pandemic thing, and we all know what happened. We all know that they created that for another reason. We know that it was that what they have done with the whole thing is about a vaccine. We know this. We know that that's what their plan was. We know that because the evidence, all the different investigations and all that stuff, and like Gabber's saying that people were deplatformed, including myself and other people, because I had a really good thing going on YouTube until we started talking about this. And I thought that we were supposed to talk about the things in news. We talk about the things that are relevant, and we don't talk about things that aren't relevant. And it was very relevant about what we were learning early on when, they were telling us all these different things about this, disease and all this stuff. And and at the time when Fauci's at the House of Representatives at a hearing saying that he don't do gain of function research, and then fast forward, back up, go back and forth with the tape, they called it something else because, so he's got like this, this way that he can say that it's not gain of function because they're calling it something else, but it's gain of function research. And now here we are. And now we have people that are in office that's willing to put their balls on the line and really go after the culprit on all these things, whether it's pharma, whether it's NAID or whatever, because this is the thing. People died and they were lied to in the process of that. And people were not allowed to see their family members, and their family members died in the hospitals. You remember, and this whole thing is bigger than a leak or a lab leak or made, whether it was intentional or unintentional or whatever, that's for another conversation. I know the truth, but I'm going to wait until it really hits, because it's gonna freak people out. But anyway, my point is, Fauci, arrest the motherfucker. Okay, that's what needs to happen. And I mean, anyway. So when I think about this, I mean, it gives me great joy to realize that there's somebody with RFK Jr. that that's willing to tell the truth, and Gabber that's willing to really put it out there on the line to do something about this. Gives me some hope, a little bit of hope. And I know that it's one little tiny pin in a big ass thing. It's like one dot out of the millions and millions of different things that's going on that needs to be addressed in this administration, and they're already 7 months in. So my hope is that all this stuff gets found out and the truth comes out. All those doctors get their licenses back, and all those doctors get to go back to their normal lives and all that stuff, because they literally just took doctors' licenses from them because they were telling the truth, and that's the truth. That is it. So, along with the deaths and the people and the that and this and that and all the stuff and the fraud, 6 feet and all that stuff. I mean, when you think about it, it's like, wow, how were they able to get away with that? Right? How did they get away with it? And the truth is, it started with Trump, and Trump was lied to, and I get that. Trump was told that this is the only thing that's going to save the world, so he wanted to be the hero, and he did it. And now it's all came out that whole thing that happened in 2021 was not. It was not. It was death sentence. Millions of people. So, good on her. I'm really grateful that she's there doing this work. Really, I really believe that. Now, I'm gonna play this other. I'm gonna drop YouTube now, and